Since their league journey began all the way back in July 2021, FC Isle of Man has captured the hearts and minds of thousands of fans across Manx shores. Now, its most avid supporters who've been there since the beginning are hoping to look at ways to grow support for the club and also benefit the wider Manx community. The FC Isle of Man supporters group is set to hold a relaunch event at the Pinewood Social Club in Pulrose at noon on Saturday the 4th of February. So what do they hope the relaunch will achieve, and how can the club and its supporters help businesses and residents for the future? I caught up with FC Isle of Man Board Member Andy Birchall, Supporters Club member Ian Strodder and Director of the Pinewood Social Club Paul Henry to find out more. The FC Isle of Man supporters group, there is going to be a relaunch event taking place for the group on Saturday the 4th of February. Andy, coming to you first, you've been there since the very start, when the Ravens 12th Man group, as it's known, first started out. Why is a relaunch needed at this point? What's the goal of it?
I suppose if you look back to when we started up the 12th Man group, we had a lot of plans then to do exactly this. For one reason or another, it didn't happen. And also, the club always wanted to push ahead with this, and they had a sort of mechanism in place to make this happen. But for one reason or another, genuine reasons, that didn't happen either. So we thought that now that I'm actually on the board of directors, we thought that this was a perfect opportunity to roll something out and pick it up again.
And Ian, from your side of things as a fan, kind of seeing it over the last 18 months, how things have grown. We saw the success of last season, and obviously it's been a bit more challenging on the pitch for the team this time around. Going into this campaign where there are more challenges for the team, how has the perspective changed, if in any way, this season compared to all the glory that we saw in the previous campaign?
Yeah, I think it's been hard. I think last season was the support was on the back of winning every week. This season it's a different mentality. It's more of a sort of backs to the wall, fight for every point, literally every point. That's why it ties in very neatly with what Andy's doing. Next Saturday, the supporters need to get behind the team. Steve Whitley said a couple of days ago that they need that support from the Ravens 12th Man or the supporters club, and this is where it's perfect timing.
Sticking with you for the moment, obviously having someone like Andy now on the board of directors as well as as a fan coming into that system, how valuable do you think that's going to be in making sure that fans' voices are heard overall?
Yeah, that was one of the key things when the Ravens 12th Man was set up, that we wanted a more of a voice from the supporters on the board, and you can see already the sort of flow of ideas and things that are happening as Andy's now on the board. It's good timing.
Paul, coming to you. You run the Pinewood Social Club, which is, I suppose, the spiritual home of the FC Isle of Man supporters group since the start of last season. As someone who runs a business, how beneficial has it been to you to have the supporters group set up its base within your establishment?
It's been very beneficial. Obviously, it's extra business, and it's welcome business because, as you probably know, in the hospitality trade, it's these months especially. We are a community club. It is a membership base. It's been great to get all the guys signed up as members. If anybody does come on the 4th of February, there'll be plenty of people there to sign them in as guests, so you can have an instant membership. And if people want to sign on there and then, they can do to become full members. But in terms of what FC Isle of Man, it's been a great experience for us, because traditionally a club or a pub on a Saturday afternoon will have its regulars. My football club is actually Pulrose. We'll come there after a game. The other teams don't tend to come now. The away teams, they just go, for obvious reasons, driving and so on. We've had the supporters, the Isle of Man supporters, FC Isle of Man supporters up there, and then followed by whatever team is coming over. Like we had Vauxhall on Saturday, and the pub was heaving. Great trade, lovely atmosphere, and we want to work as much as we can with the supporters club to keep that going, because it can be the difference between sinking and swimming, to be honest, when you've got a small estate pub club as we are. This has been brilliant, and long may it carry on.
Andy, coming back to you to the relaunch, maybe from the conversations you've had within the club itself and other fans outside, sort of bridging that gap almost, what are the sort of things that during this relaunch you would like to see come up in discussion, what ideas might be banded around for how the supporters group will move forward?
Well, obviously we've got our own ideas as it is now. The things that we want to do. We want to have regular meetings. There will be at the Pinewood. We want to have fundraiser evenings. We want to have pub quizzes. We want to organise away trips to games when it's possible, when it's sort of cost effective wise to travel. So there's lots of things that we know that we already want to do, but we welcome ideas from everybody. Everybody that comes along is quite willing to chip in. That's great. We could all obviously benefit from the help as well.
And Ian, just on that point as well, Andy talks about, the ideas that might be looked at going forward. Just how many opportunities are there for, the club and the community to kind of come together even more, to come up with ways of, I suppose, diversifying the experience for fans, but also connecting with even more people than it already has done?
Yeah, I think that's what the Supporters Club does. I mean, we've sort of offered the hospitality to the Pinewood in the first place, and I think the word has got around, certainly across, that it's a heck of a place to come to, not just for the football, the sort of generous and warm welcome from the Manx people as well. And I think that in itself will have spin-offs, that we're in a roundabout way, we're creating relationships across the water, and more so here as well, if that makes sense. More and more people are getting involved, more and more people will have ideas, as Andy's just mentioned, so all positive, I think.
Just on that point there about travelling fans coming across, getting to meet different groups of people from maybe conversations you've had with travelling supporters, or maybe the official supporters group if they're members of it, as it were. How important and how valuable do you think that is in kind of maybe getting a couple of ideas from elsewhere as well? Yeah,
absolutely massive. I mean, this is FC Isle of Man's second season. A lot of these guys across have been going for minimum 10 years, so they will have experienced the growing pains that the club and the supporters club will have experienced, so we can pick up from that. And there's no sort of animosity at all. There's friendly rivalry, but there's always a sort of positive, wanting to help, sort of can-do attitude with guys that come across. All good for the future, I'd say.
We get sort of really good feedback from the clubs as well, from the clubs and the supporters alike, from anybody that's travelled here. Really good feedback.
Paul, come back to you. As you've already mentioned, and as Andy and Ian have mentioned, the Pinewood Social Club has played, an integral part in setting up this, this supporters group and providing a base. Kind of going forward, looking at this relaunch event, what would it mean to you to continue to play an integral part in this whole setup?
One of the exciting things that the guys have been talking about is away games being streamed live into the Pinewood on a Saturday afternoon, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And, if people can't go or can't afford to go to away games, it can be difficult. It touched on there about the visiting supporters tour. What I found with this, talking to people that come or have been in town, and you bump into the fans and you have a chat with them, is that it seems to be more like families coming over, like ladies who might be supporters of the club, but they can't be going even to an away game in their own county, if you like. But they see this as a really a weekend break, and the ones that are coming over are saying, I really want to come back here and make a proper holiday of this. And I don't know if the lads here have found that as well. There seems to be more women involved to come over and be part of that football club, if you like. And I think the benefits are amazing, really.
Well, I think just on that, if you look at, we did some rough calculations not so long ago, Ian and I, that we're looking at over the stretch of the whole season, we probably will have brought over sort of 3,500 people to the island. But obviously, as Paul said, the spin-offs from that even more are people coming back for holidays, and we hear it an awful lot.
Yeah, it's more than, like Andy and Paul have said, the spin-off for the island. We're doing it for the football. The spin-off for the island as a whole is absolutely massive. Everybody goes back with a positive story.
Question to both of you, Andy and Ian. I suppose with the relaunch coming up and whatever may be discussed and put in place during that, where would you both like to see the supporters group in, say, 12 months' time?
Obviously, next Saturday we've got, as Paul's already mentioned, about live streaming away games. That's sort of the main attraction for next Saturday. We're still working very hard to make that happen at the minute. We know we have the kit. We just haven't test bedded it yet. So there's still a little bit to do, but the techie boys are quite confident that's going to happen. So the idea next week is sort of meet at 12 o'clock at the Pinewood, and then there'll be sort of an introduction talk, myself and hopefully Jill and maybe a couple of others. And then the game kicks off at 1 o'clock. Food after the game at some point, and then a pub quiz in the evening. So we're hoping that that's going to be the basis of things going forward, that people, as we've said before, people can chip in with more ideas and improve and grow that along the way.
There was one thing that when Andy set up the Ravens, we thought about doing sort of mini supporters club, which was So because it feels as though it's very Douglas centric, obviously because the ball's in Douglas. But what we were trying to do was to get people from, say, Ramsey, Peel, and the south to be part of it as well, and not sort of feel excluded. And I know, Andy did a lot of work trying to get buses and coaches to get supporters in. Maybe that's something for the future as well. We
just hope that it grows and snowballs as it goes.
And Paul, just on that point of the idea of maybe expanding it out to other areas of the Isle of Man and make sure that there isn't that interpretation that maybe it's a bit Douglas-centric. Touching on the business side again, and Ian sort of touched on it as well there is a wider economy benefit. How many more businesses like yours could it benefit if, say, this supporters club is able to expand a little more across the island?
I'm just thinking about a Pinewood franchise, actually. Branches all over the island. It's got to benefit, hasn't it? It is Douglas-centric, and it probably it's difficult. Well, it's impossible to get away from that. But again, it's ongoing. What's impressed me more than anything else, because I've just got to know Andy and Ian through the football. I'm a football man, as I say, from Pulrose. It's really impressive what these guys are trying to do. We're all volunteers. We don't get paid for it, and they're really getting behind us and spending a lot of time and effort to basically put the Isle of Man team on the map. And I think they've got to be congratulated for that, and that's why I say, we'll help in any way that we can. But yeah, the Pulrose Pinewood franchise. Yeah,
I think it's important to mention as well that Paul's already said to us that on the back of what we've done, Paul's been able to invest a lot of that money into the local community to help with what he's already trying to do. So it's helped massively, and that's what the club's all about, really. So it ticks all the boxes, working closely with the community.
One thing that was mentioned before as well is, when you compare the FC Isle of Man supporters group to, say, the others are travelling teams coming across, they've been around for decades, some of these. It's only been the best part of 18 months since FC Isle of Man was able to get into its stride. But how proud are you at the moment with the progress you've made up until this point, and how far could this go in the future?
Well, I think that it's sort of changed, as we've said, it's changed from one thing to another along the way, and I think it's important to recognise that any sort of growth and improvement will change and evolve as it goes. So what we thought might be the right thing to do 12 months ago might not be the right thing today, and we've all got to recognise that. But there's a long way to go with it. We can do lots of it. Yeah, I mean, away trips, people love the away trips. Travelling as a group to a game on a coach, and it's a great day out for people. So that's something that we need to push, but obviously that we've got the travel constraints with that as well.
And Ian, final question coming to you a bit off the back of what Paul was saying about the work that's been done to build it to this point, and what Andy's mentioning there about the things that people enjoy. Just how invested are the supporters group as a whole, not just in the developments on the pitch, but how it's developing the wider community?
Oh, massively. We are massively invested in it, and I think, at the moment, maybe the team's struggling a little bit, whether that's tiredness or just being unlucky with results and performances. And I think this is where it's really key that the island, the supporters come together to back the team. They just need that extra little boost. And that's Andy's title for the group was the Ravens' 12th man. And it's often the 12th man that can be the difference between winning a game or getting a point that will help keep the team up.
Just on that as well, I'd just like to add a couple of things if we're going to knock it on the head. One is, I'd like to thank you guys for the help that you've given us with this little bit of airtime and a couple of times in the past. But also, I think it's important to say that when we go to the Pinewood on a Saturday before the game, the Ravens are in the minority, and we need to change that, because the away team come in big numbers, and we have sort of the hardened few that go there, and it's a great day out for people to, it's a shame for people to miss it. The more the merrier.
One thing to say about the away supporters, like Andy just said, we need more home supporters in, but the Pinewood has been, we struck gold when Paul said that we could go there. The away supporters cannot believe the generosity, and it was only a couple of weeks ago when Kendal played, when the whole 80 Kendal supporters gave a standing ovation for the hospitality that the Pinewood had given, which fair play to you, Paul, and the team there.
It is unusual, isn't it? Because we go to pubs and clubs across, and you're kind of in a corner hoping that nobody spots you in a way support. I think they find it unusual that people are we are, aren't we? We're a friendly bunch, and it shows, and it's really good. The atmosphere there is great.
Thank you for having the stamina to make it to the end of the Manx Radio Sportscast. You're clearly someone who has their eye on the ball at all times. Want to hear more about the latest sporting news across the Isle of Man and much more? Then might I recommend you take the plunge and subscribe to this series or a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so that, in a flash, all of our finest moments take a winner's place on your smartphone. Thank you.